up, get out right out of your bed, that's your quicksand. Getting rid anxiety and head, you can fix it. Rid of stigmas, all of them you said, we ain't listening. Just remember, try to do your best, you can win this. Maurice Benard, State of Mind.
All right, this is the actor's studio. This is State of Mind, and if you like what you see, hit this thing right here. Right there. La, la, la. So who I have today is he's not a kid now, but to me he was always a kid. This is another one that I haven't seen in like Ignacio, 20 years or more. And I love this kid. Loved him then. And we're going to get into a story, too, that I can't wait to talk about. But he also, another story I want to talk about, but he did a scene once that just blew me away, man. About a 7-page scene that I don't know many actors that could really do the scene the way he did it back in the day on General Hospital, the soap opera. Thank you. But he played Michael Corinthos, and he's here, man. Man, this is like a blast from the past. His name is Drew Garrett. How are you, brother?
Good, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. This is amazing.
Appreciate it.
We're going to get into whatever you want to get into, but
what are we going to get into?
I don't it's just the way it is. First of all, let's start from where you were born and all that kind of stuff. I like getting into that.
Yeah. Born in South Florida. Grew up in South Florida. Relocated. I was going to a performing arts school down there that was really special. It's called Dreyfus School of the Arts.
It's called Dreyfus.
Dreyfus, yeah.
Right?
Alexander Dreyfus was like a very wealthy, well-to-do guy, and he donated all this money, and they built an amazing school.
Really?
Amazing. It's right across the street from the Kravis Center Center of the Performing Arts.
Yeah.
Which was also a huge beneficiary of his fortune, this guy Dreyfus. And just a phenomenal school, amazing program.
Like, what do you do there?
You audition to get in. It's public, but you audition to get in. So I went for theater, but they had communications, which was like a little bit of a gray area, but cool.
Yeah.
Visual arts, dance, music. So you were just immersed in like a creative community. And I loved it. And I had to commute. Like I had to hop on a bus and take a bus like 30 minutes down to West Palm Beach because I was growing up in Jupiter, which is like a small little beach town. But man, it was like
you put up plays in there?
Yeah. So you
Dang.
the like scene study or like whatever the courses that you were taking for that semester were incorporated in your academic schedule. So it's like you'd go to lunch, break for lunch, and then go to like scene study, and then go to geometry, so it was already like built in. So it was cool, man. It was cool. And I had already gone to a middle school of the arts that was sort of like the first step, you know? So I had already been exposed. I went to the middle school of the arts first. That was 3 years. And then
3 years?
3 years, yeah. Same thing. Public middle school, audition to get in. To get into the middle school, man, I like wrote my own little piece. Because at that point, I didn't know anything about anything. And I knew that I was like able to do some accents and stuff. So I was this young kid, like kind of, sort of performing.
That's the greatest.
But I'm like this little kid going in there. I auditioned in like flip-flops. I remember I walked in and they were, I'm a Florida kid. I was like barely ever wearing shoes. And I walk in and they kind of like size me up and they're like, give me a smile. Like, we'll give them a shake, but this is definitely not the right thing to wear. And I went in and told the story. It was like a bit of a story that led me into these moments of like impersonating characters that I was interacting with or coming across.
Right.
An Australian guy, a British dude. But really, it was a bit of like a gimmick just to do these accents.
And you were good at accents?
Yeah. I think I've always been very observant, right? So like I always was intrigued by humans just living and just being.
I get you, yeah.
Just watching I was a young kid. My mom used to tell me the stories like you used to like suck your thumb a lot. So you weren't saying much. You were very much listening more than anything. And I would like sit in a restaurant. And I was young, man. I was like a little kid. And I would just like take my thumb out of my mouth and say, he's lonely. Or like make some observation about an individual. Like so it was a man that was sitting, eating dinner alone. Whether he was lonely or not, who knows?
Right.
But the point is like I think just I've always been very, very observant of people. And so I think that feeds into the whole accent thing. So I was like just trying to emulate things that I heard.
Yeah.
And I'm still that way. Like I was on a trip to Jamaica. Oh my God, dude.
You went to Jamaica?
My buddy got married in Jamaica. And I couldn't stop, like I'm like over here just picking up the lingo, picking up the accent. It was like a blast. But so anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but the performing arts schools were amazing. The high school was incredible. And then 2 years into this high school experience, I was starting to kind of get the itch. At that point, I was like 5 years into studying this stuff and getting feedback and starting to see that, like, I think comedically, I was getting really good responses from people and I was feeling like the power of it. So I was like, man, I'm trying to explore this more. I'm trying to do this. My mom being like the sort of rule breaker that she is, was like, all right, well, why don't you see if you can get into a school out in LA? I'm like, all right, like a Dreyfus in LA. So I found it. It was LACHSA, LA County School for the Arts.
They have it in LA?
In LA.
Wow.
Yeah, near downtown. So that was my entry point. So I flew out. I had friends that had like come out here to do pilot season or something. And I auditioned for the school, got in.
And you got in?
And I got into the school in LA. But little did I know that transferring from Dreyfus to LACHSA was gonna be a total culture shock, because I was going from like an amazing campus and pretty large school for an art school to downtown LA, shared rooms at Cal State LA, small student body, less departments, less money. So I show up and I'm like, where's the theater? And like, where's the welding shop for like the visual artists? And there was nothing. They didn't have much. So it was a rude awakening. And that was the moment where I realized, holy shit, I took that school for granted, for sure. Wow. I was just like, I mean, don't get me wrong, I loved it, but I didn't know how much I loved it until I left. So yeah, it was a cool way to be exposed to the arts and a cool way to grow up, like in place of the jocks and the like more stereotypical experience of high school was like dancers. I was into that. I was into the fact that like I was walking to my next class and there's like a group of dancers in their leotards going to, I mean, of course, I love the ladies too, but just everything about the fact that people were after their creative pursuits at that point was super cool to me.
And how old were you?
I mean, I went all the way through high school. So I got out of high school. I did that through to 18.
Oh,
and then I graduated.
Really?
Yeah.
You came out here and you were 18?
Yeah, so I finished those last 2 years at LACHSA. So that was like 2 years in LA. That was my first 2 years in LA, were my last 2 years of high school. So that at that point,
Damn.
had already started auditioning.
Wait,
out
hold
here.
on. How the? Well, because I always ask this question, but because I always had somebody taking care of me and whatnot.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
if I see somebody living on their own, I'm thinking, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
You came out here.
with my mom.
Oh,
She came through. She came through. And
All
last
right.
minute, my brother, who wasn't planning on coming to LA, within like
You got how many brothers and sisters?
one brother.
One brother.
He's 1 year older than me and was not planning on joining. And quite honestly, the rest of my family and everybody else that if we asked their opinion, they weren't like they were like, what are you gonna like? You
Right.
go to LA to do like you're gonna go get an apartment and like go audition for shows? What are you talking about? But last minute, my brother's like, you know what? I'm gonna roll out. I'm gonna come.
Wow.
So I was thrilled, man. And honestly, looking back on it now, like if I hadn't had my brother there through that transition, that would have been rough.
So you live with your brother and your mother
Yeah.
in an apartment?
In South Pasadena, which was like
How was that, man?
right, like how we landed in South Pasadena, I don't exactly know. Oh, because LACHSA, LA County School for the Arts, is only within like a few miles from South Pasadena. It's in Alhambra, or it's like near downtown. So that was like, I think my mom's take was like, oh, hey, this is a nice enough little neighborhood that we can be comfortable
And afford.
and be within reach of this school that I was going to.
So then you left that school, you
Yeah,
left there, and then what happened?
Yeah, left the school. I started going to Pasadena City College, and then was really ready to get interrupted. And then that's when I got the first call from Mark Teschner, like, "Hey, come on."
Oh, that's
come and
what.
read. Yeah, come and read for the show.
Let's
Like, what's
let's
that
wait
show?
on that. I want to wait on that. That's like a good.
But
Were you a pro speed boarder?
you know,
What the?
Brett was my brother. So
Oh, your brother.
Yeah, so he became semi-pro in this.
Yeah,
like,
what is
downhill-
that?
dude? It's. Have you ever seen people luging when they lay in this thing and they're going downhill?
Yeah,
So it's like-
that.
So it's like that, but you're standing up on a skateboard. And keep in mind, these skateboards are designed in such a way that like they can withstand high speeds. The wheels are thick. It's like a race car, but a skateboard.
But you can get.
Oh yeah, it's super dangerous.
I
So-
couldn't do that. That's scary, man.
Yeah. So surfing became at that point I was already surfing, but surfing was really like my joy and my like happy place where I didn't have that. Sure, there's a little bit of survival instinct in moments, but like I didn't have that just constant fear throughout the whole
You
experience.
see any sharks?
Yeah, a little bit more in Florida.
Oh, more in Florida.
Yeah. More shark activity in Florida as a whole, but I haven't seen any sharks on the West Coast.
Wow.
It's the waters are a little darker.
Is it cold, the
It's
water?
cold, yeah. It's all we pretty much wetsuit all year round. You're not really gonna be. There's like a couple weeks in the year where you can get out there in just like trunks and go for it, but it's pretty cold. So that was like something I had to get used to for sure.
But that's good for your mind.
Oh man, I didn't realize that at that point, but I did know that after I would get out of the water, man, I felt amazing always. You know, because it gets me into my breathing. It gets you cold, so you get that like those shock proteins or whatever that is, and
You know, I
being
got
in
a buddy
nature.
who swims with people out in the ocean every morning,
yeah,
or at least once a week.
Yeah.
And it's good for you, man. That
and like you
cold,
said, that cold,
that's what
that'll wake you up.
I can't. I don't know. I mean,
But you know what? I've had this fantasy where I'm like, man, if I had this little spot on the coast where I could wake up and get in the ocean, like without getting in my car, and then have my sauna, you know? So I would like wake up, freeze myself in the ocean,
Okay.
get my blood flowing. It's super good for your health.
Completely.
Even like the magnesium, the iodine in the water and stuff. Like your body is absorbing that stuff. And then you get out and you hit that sauna. So you then just like cut the cold. That to me, like I couldn't be, after all of that, I couldn't be any more relaxed, you know? It's amazing.
I know, you know, we have a plunge.
Yeah. Same idea.
They sent us the plunge.
You like it?
I've never done it.
What? Really?
Listen, bro,
What is it?
here's my problem. And this is a problem. But I'm working on it.
What is it?
I was out in the I was talking to this therapist I had in Paris,
Okay.
and it was cold outside, and it was on a Zoom thing, and I said, "Fuck, I'm cold," and he goes, "You don't like being uncomfortable, do you?" I said, "I never thought of it,"
Yeah.
and I said, "No, I don't." He goes, "Hmm." So the truth of the matter is that, and then, like I just had anxiety a couple of weeks ago, just a little bit, and Freddy Krueger knocking on my door, and I realized that the moment that hits, that I just feel 100% uncomfortable when I should just be all right with being uncomfortable.
Sure.
And sit in it. But I run. That's not what you're supposed to do.
Right.
So as soon as I feel that, you wouldn't do that. Or somebody else wouldn't do that. But that's my problem.
Yeah.
And I've been, you know what I've been through. So I'm learning now to, like right now, I'm not bullshitting you.
Yeah.
I'm freezing. But
I'm shivering in my shoes.
It's freaking cold right now. But I'm programming my mind to just sit in it, accept it. It's only a feeling. And so when I take a shower, I turn on the cold.
There you go.
Just because but I can only do it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
I know you're supposed to do it longer.
Yeah.
But at least I'm doing it. So I'm working on it.
incremental.
Yes.
Yeah, step by step. Like,
But the ocean is great, but damn, it's cold.
It's cold, man. But I feel like for me, I'm the same way. Like I can resist discomfort for sure, but I always do well just diving in. Like I don't want to ease into it. I just want to put my full body, immerse it, so that like the minute you do that, it's the mental that I think that's resisting it more than the physical.
Of course it is.
Right? Which is interesting. And that's why I think that by just diving in, it sort of alleviates that mental process. And then you're just like,
And
okay,
it's
not that bad.
it hits hard and then
Hits
it goes
hard.
away.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll start going to the ocean. And what about mental health
Mental health.
for you? Any?
Yeah, for me, I'm fortunate that I feel like
You seem pretty.
my mental's pretty level, but I've had challenges, physical health challenges that have put my mental state in a place of deep reflection and sensitivity and emotionally unbalanced for sure. I had an autoimmune. I still do an autoimmune condition.
What is that?
Skin condition.
Oh,
Yeah. So this is one thing I wanted to touch on today because
yeah, let's do it.
I battled with eczema for a long time. And when I was young, it showed up and I didn't know what it was. I was just like a young kid. I didn't know anything about health for sure, or nutrition or anything. So I just went to a dermatologist and they gave me some topical steroids and off I went. But as the years progressed, the topical steroids lost their effectiveness, right? So like my body became dependent on that level of medication.
Yeah.
So if I didn't use it, it was like waking up a beast. But what I didn't realize at that time was I was now battling with addiction to topical steroids, my immune system, and this autoimmune condition, right?
Yeah.
So once I realized, okay, this isn't getting any better. This is actually seemingly getting worse. I'm going to need to approach this from a different angle here. Like what I'm eating, my lifestyle, what I'm exposed to.
Yeah.
What products are in my home, right? So as I began to dive into that process, I had to get off the steroids. And getting off those steroids, like that process, was terrible.
Why?
And when I say terrible, I mean because what happens is you get off them. It's like it's a synthetic hormone, right? So you're supplying your body with these things that it otherwise isn't creating because it's like, you know, you got a crutch. And it was like a firestorm on my skin when I got off. So my skin became super inflamed. And when I say like super, if you would have saw me during this process, and this was years, if you would have seen me, you would immediately thought, oh, poor guy, what's going on? So he doesn't look well.
Damn.
He doesn't look well.
On your face too?
Bro, my eyes were like swollen shut. It was terrible. And I had no idea. Like no one prepared me to say, by saying, these dermatologists, by saying, hey, this is going to be super helpful, but please be aware that to the extent that you use these, your body will become dependent, and then it's going to create all sorts of additional issues with your skin. I had no idea. I was just a kid, just doing what the doctor says, you know? So I was on steroids all throughout General Hospital. That was keeping it at bay. Towards the tail end of my run on GH, I started to try to get off them. And that ended up being a 10-year process.
Damn.
10 years. And when I say 10 years, that's because I had to figure out what the source of this inflammation was. I had to figure out like what is going on internally, right? Oh my God, dude, that was such a daunting process. And I had no idea. Like I thought it was one thing. I was like, oh, I must be like allergic to X, Y, or Z.
Well, what did you do to get better?
So what I did was through process of elimination, I figured out what diet is supportive to my system. I eliminated anything toxic, anything that has like formaldehyde releasing agents, preservatives, phthalates, all these things that are commonly found in products. Like I had to essentially clean house. But it wasn't so easy because initially I wasn't able to identify what the triggers were because I was dealing with the steroid withdrawal. It's called topical steroid withdrawal, TSW. And it's real. And if you look up online, like people are out there looking like burn victims trying to get off these topical steroids. Straight up. I'm saying like peeling layers on layers of skin. Like you look frightening. It looks terrible. And it feels worse.
So what are you eating?
At this point?
Yeah.
Super, super simple, like paleo-based kind of...
Son of a...
whole food, no processed food. And then I had to stay away from triggers. Triggers for me are like a lot of grains, wheat, dairy, eggs. So I have to be super disciplined with what I expose my body to. And I had no idea, man. I was like a young kid eating the standard American diet, like, cool. Oh, my skin, like I have this rash, put an ointment on it. Cool. No, not cool. And the more I went, the deeper I dug myself into that hole, completely not knowing. So what's cool is I became incredibly educated and incredibly informed as far as nutrition, as far as like environmental factors, as far as like product. I spent countless hours because I was determined. I was like, I'm not gonna stay on this drug, and I'm not gonna accept that this is just how I wake up and how I feel, which was terrible, man. I couldn't function. Also, it was compounded by the fact that I was trying to pursue this acting career, and I couldn't even show up to an audition without looking like, like, dude, what's up? I would like go in and read for. I remember I read for Spider-Man, and my eyes were like almost swollen shut. Not swollen shut so much so that it looked like I couldn't open my eyes, but I just didn't look right, and I was red in the face, peeling like. And it wasn't just on my face, you know. During the process of getting off those medications, it was systemic. I was covered in it. So, talk about like existential quandary, man. Like I was like, what do I do? How do I pursue this career where I'm in front of the camera when I look the way I look? It was like Phantom of the Opera. So it was tough, man. It was
And
really tough.
your mental state of mind.
Oh man, I'm a pretty happy dude, but during those times, that was the first time. That was the one of the only times I thought to myself, you know what? I can relate to people who feel like they might just want to end it. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Because it's like, at what point do I get relief? At what point do I find an answer to this state that I'm in? You know, like, because I'll tell you what, the doctors aren't going to give me the answer. The doctor's going to give me the Band-Aid, and the Band-Aid just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So,
well, let me
it was
tell
up
you
to
something.
myself, you know.
I don't think I've ever talked about this on stage. That's pretty. I've talked about everything. I have psoriasis, brother.
Yep.
That's bad.
Yep. I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
And it was all over my face.
Was it?
Yes.
I thought it was only like on your scalp sometimes,
No,
or like on your leg.
There, it's on my leg. It's on my
I remember it
fucking
being on your leg.
my elbow. It's on my.
Mm-hmm.
But it was on my face, and it was on my face until recently.
Really?
I have high cholesterol, so my psychiatrist recommended. This is a trip that we're talking about this because I've been talking about it for the last couple of days. So my psychiatrist said, take this pill. It's a krill, like the little
Krill oil?
little-
Yeah. Omega-3.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it will help you with cholesterol.
Sure.
Started taking it. My fucking face is clean, gone.
Wow.
Now, my legs are much better.
That's
but
amazing.
But I'm putting some shit on,
Topical.
not from the dermatologist,
Okay.
because whatever he gave me didn't work.
Right.
So I was
Or
like,
it maybe works short term, but it's good it didn't
it
work
didn't
at
even
all.
work short term.
Good. Good.
So I'm using this shit that I buy at CVS.
Yeah.
So I remember what the doctor said. Make sure it's never dry. Keep it wet. You know,
Yeah,
don't
keep it moisturized.
So I put this shit on, put it on my legs everywhere.
Yeah.
Much better. But my face, dude, I had it
Came
all
back.
over here. They had to put so much makeup on, GH,
Dude,
to put this thing.
that's amazing.
Krill
Krill oil.
oil.
And it just goes to show you it's what you're putting in your body, it's what you're deficient in. Krill oil, I think, is mostly like the omega-3 content.
I guess I needed it.
Yeah.
Because I had it here bad, gone.
Yeah.
Here bad, gone.
Amazing. What was that? A naturopathic doctor who put you on the?
No, just psychiatrist.
Oh, you said you're psychiatrist.
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 But he didn't know about the skin. He still doesn't
that,
know.
Interesting that he.
He just said for
Went on
cholesterol that stuff works.
Oh, right.
And then now when I talk to him, I want to say to him,
Hey.
you saved my face.
Yeah.
Because it's not that it was so bad like yours or anything, but it was just annoying, dude, that I had.
And once you start getting the makeup involved, that's a whole.
Oh, it was makeup every day.
Yeah.
So now they look at me like,
They're like, you look phenomenal.
what
bro."
the hell the fuck? And even people would
do.
say to me, like you put too much makeup on your face. It seems to. I'm like,
And you're like, I know, it's because I'm working with something right now. Give me a break. Man, I remember walking into my dressing room and looking in the mirror and going, are we good with this? Like, I feel like I'm looking like a clown. But I guess,
but
you know,
what's the difference between
the
eczema,
lighting.
whatever it's called, and psoriasis?
So there's some similarities, but I would say from my understanding, the main difference is just the way it manifests. So both are skin conditions that cause
the way-
inflammation,
yeah.
and then you get dry because you're inflamed and your skin's trying to heal itself. But the difference between psoriasis and eczema is psoriasis is typically like they call it like plaque psoriasis. It's these patches
yeah,
of super dry
yeah,
skin.
yeah.
Eczema is a little bit more like red hot and blistery.
Wow.
So but ultimately it's a very closely related condition,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
inflammation of your skin, you know,
Yeah.
and it's autoimmune. Psoriasis is autoimmune as well. So
What does autoimmune mean?
autoimmune is like your immune system has maladapted to be triggered, or this pathway that triggers like a defensive mechanism that typically is going to help you overcome a virus or a parasite or whatever it may be, is turn back on yourself. So it's like and then therefore creating inflammation in your own body. So it's essentially your immune system is malfunctioning. And a lot of different things can come into like play with that and cause that, but so many different conditions are autoimmune, including mental health stuff.
Yeah.
Inflammation in the brain, inflammation of the skin, inflammation of, there's like all these different conditions that they even say lupus is autoimmune.
Wow.
So it's a pandemic out there, man, with all these different manifestations of inflammation. But autoimmunity is very common.
I've heard it a lot.
It's very common.
All right, let's wind this down with General Hospital.
Yeah.
Just tell me how it was when you auditioned and you got the job and then you first day.
Yeah. Got the call. Wasn't so familiar with the show. Went into Prospect Studios back when, we used to go in person. Met Mark one-on-one, sat at the desk. He asked me a couple questions. And then we read a couple times, and it was cool, man. I just felt like, at that point, I felt like it was any other audition, aside from the fact that Mark seemed incredibly present, and curious, and read in a way that I wasn't used to, and I recognized. I was like, that was interesting, and I appreciate that. That guy really, really was present and really gave me something.
Good actor.
Do you know what I mean? He gave me something to work with. Whereas so often I would go into an office and feel like I was just reading with someone who was just ready to move on to the next, and it was very what's the word, like cordial and friendly, but it didn't feel creative. So it felt like it's up to me to bring something special, and that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's why it was so helpful and also memorable, that exchange with Mark. But that was it. I didn't hear anything for like a month, so I just figured like, all right, well, it didn't go that great. But then I got a call for the callback, and that's when I was like, oh shit, that did go well. Okay, let's bring it back. And that's when everybody was in the room, It was like the whole executive producers, writers, a head writer at the time, Guza. And I remember I was sitting, waiting to go in. And they had a monitor up of like what was going on the soundstage. And I remember sitting there and just visualizing myself on that monitor on the soundstage.
Really?
Yeah, I was just sitting there like, yeah, that's gonna be what I'm doing. I'm gonna be on that monitor. We're gonna be working down there in that studio. And I was kind of just trying to like play through the imagination of it. They brought me in. We did one run. It went well, and they asked me to do it again. I was feeling like all right, but we were like scratching the surface, you know.
Right.
So I was kind of feeling a little bit like I wish I could give it another crack. And then they were like, you know what, let's do it again. And I think they saw my excitement with wanting to run it again.
Right.
Like, yeah. All
Right.
right. Like I'm like chomping at the bit. And we did it again. It was even better. And that was it. But I walked out with my head held pretty high. I felt good. I was like, man. I had met with a coach prior, and it was an emotional scene. So when I met with this coach who was her name is Deborah Strang. She's a theater actress, long run at A Noise Within down in Glendale, which is a well-respected theater down there. And I remember I met with her before the call. And she was like, we were running through it, and I was just kind of holding back. And I explained to her, I said, hey, look, I don't want to peak too soon. And she laughed. And I was like, I'm going into this thing, it's emotional. But I don't want to hit that wellspring yet. Like I want to mark it, but I want to keep, because sometimes I've noticed like once I pop the top, it kind of just
Right.
It's there until I set it down. But once I set it down, it becomes a little bit more difficult to access that in a real, genuine sense. So she was like, I was kind of apologizing, like, sorry that I'm not fully doing this right now, but I'm just know that I'm focused and I'm here.
Right.
And she looked at me like, no apologies, no need to explain. And I think she even said something like, they'd be crazy not to hire you or something. Whether or not she believed that at the time,
Right.
who knows? But it felt good. And I went in there and yeah, it went really well. I think they ended up giving me the offer like a few weeks later. So it was like some time passed. And I thought I was gonna have to test or something, but they just offered it to me.
What?
After that. So yeah, that was the start of it all. And then, man, it was like, it all happened real fast, you know? I don't think I realized what I was getting into. I certainly didn't. And I didn't realize how demanding and how quickly I was going to become the centerpiece to very much like the show's storyline, and really like the premier storyline for GH at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't realize, you know, probably better that I didn't.
Yeah.
Because I could just take it one day at a time. But yeah, I think, wow, was it so much fun? Man, it was challenging. But I think I've thrived off the pressure and off the off that energy, especially because of you. I think in a lot of ways you were very, very supportive and very helpful to my process. I just felt like we saw eye to eye, and I
just believed in you.
Yeah, and I felt that deeply, and so did I.
Yeah.
But I felt like you believed in me in that with that same come from that I did. I always felt like you were kind of street. I always felt like you were kind of no bullshit.
Yeah.
And like let the work speak for itself.
Right.
You know?
And you remember that 7-page scene?
Which one? When you said that, when you introduced me, I thought, man, and I thought I knew which one you were referring to. There was this one where we're sitting in your office.
Yes.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were
or
sitting
in an office.
I think we were in your office.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to grapple with, hey, look, like I want to do better, but also like all I want to do is walk in your footsteps. And you were kind of, I think that was the through line there, was like, you're saying, hey, you can do better and you don't have to be like me. And I'm going, as if that's a bad thing. I want to be like you. What are you talking about? But also while dealing with the whole, you know, the trauma of the head injury and everything that was going on.
Yeah, because it was a lot of pages.
Yeah.
And I told you that I think you maybe went up on a
Yeah.
scene, and I said, "Listen, dude," I said, you can't drop the ball on this.
Yeah.
This scene, once the ball drops, the scene's done.
Yep.
So, I didn't tell you then, but it was a fucking hard ass scene to
It
do.
was a hard ass scene.
I'm telling you.
It was a hard ass scene, especially doing 1 or 2 takes.
Yeah, for me it was hard.
Yeah. It was.
And for anybody, I don't think they could have done it. To be honest with you.
And just to clarify, when you say for you it was hard, that's because you hold yourself to a certain level of quality and genuine interaction, like a real grounded experience. And I always felt that I was after that too. But in order to achieve that and make sure your cues are on point and make sure you hit your mark and
It was, dude. And
Damn.
we did the scene, and you nailed that scene.
yeah.
And I was like, holy shit. And so let me just, I don't know the story. You don't know the story. So, you did that scene, and you've done other scenes that were really good, and everything was great and stuff. And then I already told the story, so it's not like I'm leaving anything out. It was a Sunday, I come home, Paula's on the phone, and
Yeah.
I hear that you're not going to be working there.
Yeah.
Dude, I went fucking berserk.
Fuck.
And because, first of all, we have just done that scene. And I'm
like,
thinking, what the?
I perceived this challenge and he overcame it. What's the deal? Like, what am I missing?
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it happens all the time, and
course.
everybody comes and goes like a
course.
revolving door.
Yeah.
But I came to work the next day, and now Chad, who's now a friend of mine,
Of course.
let's just put the cards on the table, and I'm not proud of it. I don't recommend it, but I treated him
recommend-
badly
Yeah. Sure.
for like
A few days or
a year.
Did you-
Maybe it was 8 months.
come on. It wasn't a year. I mean, hey,
didn't-
look,
I
that's
didn't-
love.
I didn't
But-
talk to him, dude.
Shit.
It wasn't cool.
Shit.
I'm the first to say it.
Yeah.
First day on the stand, he has this monologue about killing somebody, and I'm right in front of him. He's sweating. He's having a panic attack.
For sure.
Because, now we're friends. So, and I'm like this. But I can't do too much.
Oh, my
'cause-
God,
Because
poor dude.
then it looks weird that the father's like, so
Poor.
I had to play with.
And I mean, look, when I can imagine how tough that was for him because when I showed up to this, like my first experience and introduction to being on set and whatever, I could feel. I was like, oh, this is like the Don.
Yeah,
You.
right.
I could feel the energy. I could feel your confidence. I could feel that people revered you. Right?
Yeah.
So if I put myself in his shoes in that moment, he was new, right? So he was experiencing that same thing, except guess
Sweating.
what? The Don, from my experience, you were like, hey, nice to meet you. Let's do this thing. And then we hit the ground running.
Yes.
But he shows up
Oh.
and he's like, oh, guess what? Mr. Head Honcho's got my number. That sounds terrible.
Oh, he was.
I would never. That sounds awful.
It was awful.
Awful.
And if anything, I would. Of course, I've never done that again, and I would never
Yeah.
do it.
Right.
And it's too hard to do that. But I was so fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
And you can say some of that was ego. Some of that was I liked you so much, and you had just done that scene, and then I ended up living with Chad
Living.
for a couple of days. He
What do you
stayed
mean?
at my because he had some I don't know. What was
Oh,
going
because
on.
like it was just a quick.
Yeah.
How soon was that after?
Oh,
he
that was
started?
years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But literally, I wish I really knew how long it was. It may have been 6 months.
Yeah.
That I didn't talk.
Well,
to
I'm sure it was like a gradual release of this
Yeah.
Maurice
him. It was so.
iron grip. right around his throat.
But it was hard on him, man.
Oh, I can
And he's
imagine.
like a child anyway. So.
I can imagine. That's tough.
All right, listen, we got to go.
Yeah, let's do it.
I just want to say about Drew. He came in here and he gave me this stuff about the skin thing that I've never talked about. We didn't talk about beforehand. And I'm so glad he did because so many people can go, oh, I think I have this problem. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to do that. And he did it incredibly. I'm very proud of him. Not because of acting or anything like that. I'm just proud of him because it looks like he's a guy who's got his stuff together. And I'm glad I saw that. And I didn't see some guy come in here like, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to say that I'm proud of him, and that's it. Thank you, man.
I appreciate it.
It's just cool.
It's so cool to be here.
Your skin looks great.
Feel great.
Your attitude's great.
It's good.
There's nothing I can't. Maybe the socks I don't like that much, but that's not. But there's nothing I can sit here and think, wow, I wonder what's going on with you. Just everything's working for you.
Appreciate it, man.
Whatever your life's happening.
Definitely, it's been a long road, and it feels good to do the work and get the payoff, man. It's like you gotta work hard to be healthy, to be sharp, to be astute.
Yeah, don't have to tell me.
You don't have to work as hard. It comes naturally. Thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it, man.
State of mind, brother.
Appreciate it.